Franklin Myers, 74, lives in a small town in Oregon. With his silver hair and tall, lean but sturdy figure, he is a familiar sight every morning on the oak-lined street. A former Marine, Frank never lets himself be lazy. "Discipline is flesh and blood," he often says. And so every day, whether it is drizzle or frost, he walks regularly more than 10,000 steps, as if continuing a silent march with his old age. People respect him. Children call him the tireless old soldier. But no one knows that every night when he gets home, he has to sit on the edge of his bed for a long time to take off his shoes. His knees ache. His ankles are slightly swollen. And recently, he has begun to forget the names of some old acquaintances. He is silent, does not complain, does not tell anyone because he is a soldier, and soldiers do not complain. Until one morning, while walking along the old road, Frank suddenly stopped. His heart was pounding. His eyes were dizzy. And for the first time in his life, he was scared. He returned home, and for the first time, he took the initiative to call his daughter. And when Melissa took him to the doctor, he had no idea that the habit he was always proud of could be the thing that was making him age faster every day. If Mr. Frank's story touched your heart, leave a like to support the fathers and grandfathers who are silently fighting against age every day. And if you want to know what happened in the clinic, where the doctor revealed a truth that shocked him, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow us for part 2. Because sometimes, the things that make us the strongest can also be the things that hurt us the most. Dr. Jennifer Cole, a famous geriatrician in Oregon, walked in with a thick file in her hand. She was a middle-aged woman, her eyes soft but not without their directness. She knew exactly what she was about to say, and that it would strike a deep chord in the old soldier's pride. "Frank," she began, after flipping through the MRI images and lab results, "you have a heart that is healthier than most people at 74. But your bones, cartilage, and some of your neurological indicators are showing what I have to say." Frank frowned, nodding silently. "There are signs of osteoarthritis in your knees, not severe but progressing. Your cortisol, the stress hormone, is quite high in the morning. And what worries me most is that your BDNF, brain neurotrophic factor, is decreasing. That means your memory will likely continue to decline if nothing changes." Frank didn't blink, but his hands began to clench. The doctor continued, with rare empathy. "You've done an extraordinary job over the years, but sometimes the best things need to be adjusted. Walking 10,000 steps a day when you were in your 50s and 60s was a feat. But in your 70s and beyond, your body starts to pay for that overexertion. Your bones don't recover as well as they used to, your cartilage isn't as flexible, and your organs need more time to rest. By trying to keep up the same routine, you're inadvertently pushing your body into a state of accelerated aging." The words were a blow to Frank's long-held belief. For decades, he had believed that if you stop walking, you stop living. Now he was faced with the reality. His overwalking was shortening his remaining years. He bowed his head like a soldier after his first defeat. A silence fell over the room. The ticking of the clock sounded like time was slipping away irretrievably. Then he asked in a hoarse, slow voice, "So, what should I do? I can't sit still. I can't stand the feeling of immobility." "Doctor." Cole didn't answer right away. She smiled, pulled a printed sheet of paper from her desk drawer, and placed it in front of him. "Here's a comprehensive recovery plan for you. Walk 25–30 minutes a day, preferably early in the morning. Stretch 3 times a week to strengthen your lower body. Breathing meditation twice a week, or sit quietly for 15 minutes to reduce cortisol. And especially, 10 minutes a day of balance exercises to prevent falls, the #1 cause of premature death in older adults. Frank read each line like a new battle cry. Not against the enemy, but against his old self, the self that wouldn't let itself slow down. The doctor put his hand on his shoulder and said gently, "You don't have to give up your manhood, Frank. It's time for you to move less, to live longer." If you've ever thought, some changes come very quickly, but others, like autumn turning to winter, happen quietly, silently, and profoundly. Frank Myers has lived as a warrior all his life, and at 74, he's starting to learn something again: how to live as a human being. After that fateful visit, he did not return home with a prescription or empty advice. He returned with a new mirror to look at himself. In the mornings that followed, instead of rushing out like he had done so many years before, Frank opened the window, made a cup of herbal tea, and sat down on the porch chair. The sun had not yet risen, a thin mist still covered the trees, and he sat there silently, for the first time in decades, doing nothing. And it was in that silence that he heard his own voice. Not the sound of hurried footsteps, nor the sound of a rapidly beating heart, but the voice of a soul that had not been heard for too long. Tired, lonely, and in need of healing. Frank began his new journey not with speed, but with observation. Every morning, he took a gentle walk around his garden, just 15-20 minutes, noticing each flower, each budding bud. Before, he walked because he was afraid of dying. Now, he walked to live, and it was a different story. Melissa, his only daughter, bought him a small speaker. Every morning, she played soft meditation music and guided him through deep breathing exercises. He learned to close his eyes, relax his shoulders, feel the air coming in and out, and let the gentle memories of the past return. No pain, no heaviness, just a thin wisp of smoke drifting through his mind. For the first time in years, he began to sleep deeply, no longer waking up in the middle of the night because of the pain in his knees. The dull ache in his ankles gradually disappeared, and most miraculously, his memory began to return. Memories that had seemed lost of his late wife, of a camping trip with her daughter when she was 9, now came alive like a restored color film. One weekend morning, Melissa took him to the town park, where he used to walk for hours every day. But this time, he was not alone. He stood in the middle of a circle of other seniors, holding a small stick, leading them through a simple balancing exercise that Dr. Cole had taught them. "Now," he said, "every step I take is no longer to avoid illness, but to move closer to peace." They were silent, then smiled, and joined him in spreading their arms, standing firmly on one leg, taking deep breaths, breathing slowly. From a man who only knew how to walk fast to forget about time, Frank learned a great lesson. Time is not an enemy. It is a friend if we walk with it, instead of running away from it. 3 months not long, but long enough for Mr. Frank to go from a stubborn warrior to a silent teacher. He taught people not with theory, but with his own life story. A man who was once so strong that he refused to accept weakness, but now, accepting it was his greatest strength. Someone asked him, "Do you regret the time that has passed?" Frank just smiled, his eyes sparkling. "I don't, because without those blind steps, I wouldn't have learned how to stand still and still be strong." If you are taking care of an elderly parent, or you yourself are entering the twilight years, please remember: living well is not just about moving, but also about resting at the right time. living long is not just about prolonging your breath, but prolonging your joy, awareness, and connection. Backhand index pointing right, please click like. If Mr. Frank's story makes you think differently about old age and about yourself. Backhand index pointing right, and if you want to continue to accompany these healing, awareness, and touching stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because maybe a small video, a gentle story, will touch your heart at the right time. Because living long is not about living forever,